The Youth Academy just got a huge update in FC25. So instead of seeing whatever creatures were spawning into career mode from launch, the faces are much more fine-tuned and realistic, and some talents can even grow some facial hair as they age. EA legit fixing the Youth Academy was not on my 2024 bingo card. So today I'm going to release a random club's entire Youth Academy to see where their careers go and how they age with these new revolutionary updates in FC25. Then once they grow, develop and hit their peaks, reunite them in one team to see how good they actually are and what they can achieve together. So let's get straight to it. First things first, you've got to be a team that has set its youth development board expectations to critical, just so that we get the most players possible in our starting youth academy. So our current options are Manchester United, former Barclays specialist Sunderland. Heading down to League One, we've got both Charlton Athletic and Exeter City. And down in the fourth tier, we've got AFC Wimbledon, Carlisle United, and Crew Alexandra to complete the trio. Or we could venture to France, where we could start up with Olympique Lyon or Stade Rennais. There aren't too many options in Germany besides Freiburg. Actually, Bundesliga 2's cooking. We've got Schalke, Greuther Fürth, 1860 München in the 3 Liga. And I forgot about these youth academy teams. Hanover 96 second squad, Stuttgart V2's youth side, and then of course Borussia Dortmund 2. Or with critical youth development board expectations, in Italy, you've got the choices of Cittadella or first tier Atalanta and Empoli. I was expecting more out of Spain, but the only two clubs to have that critical youth development is Las Palmas and of course Athletic Bilbao. However, we're going to set our sights up north and head to the Stadium of Light to see what the Black Cats are cooking up here. What are we working with here, gentlemen? Can Sunderland provide us with that next generational youth academy? I'm glad some of our first emails at the club are about youth development and the youth academy report. It shows that they've got their priorities in order, and I'm already liking what I'm seeing here. We have a maxed out 16-man youth academy, and oh my days, let's get into it position by position. We'll kick things off with the one and only goalkeeper of the team, Bradley Wright. I mean, it's quality over quantity in this situation. No play styles to report on, but 16 years of age, 74 to 94 potential. Potentially the next Jordan Pickford. We have Martin Bravo, the Uruguayan left back. Nothing too much to get excited about here. He might need a bit of training and development guidance, just like Duma Goniwe from South Africa. Can play at centre back, CDM, right back, and is one of the first prospects to actually have a play style. He's got to anticipate. At 16, 6'2", we're going to have to get him on the right development plan before we release him, because 64 to 68 potential is absolutely diabolical. Similar story with his centre back partner, Masmoud El Basir from Morocco, 72 to 76 potential, and he actually has 3 play styles with power header and slide tackle. There's no way he's being a centre back at 5'8", so you know what? I'm converting him into a CDM. So BCHD is already cooking up as we have yet another wing back. This time it's Masato Goto, 17 years of age, the Japanese right back, still at 5'8", one of the oldest players in this academy, and he's got the jockey play style with 82 acceleration being his main selling point. Again, not all hope is lost. I'm going to make sure they're treated right before we release them out into the football world, as Idris Hachini is yet another Moroccan, 75 to 81 potential, and is 13 years of age. The minimum age for youth academy players has been severely reduced, but we're not going to give them any special treatment this year. We'll be promoting and releasing him at the same time as everyone else, as he has the jockey and bruiser playstyle for the central defensive mid at 5'5". Hopefully a few of these teenage talents can actually grow not only in their game but in their height, as the first English homegrown talent here, William Hawkins, the left mid at 5'9". He's left-footed, 88 sprint speed, 87 acceleration, 64 to 78 potential, and has the Trivella playstyle. I was going to say he's giving me Lamine Yamal vibes, but he's actually like older than Lamine Yamal at 17, so that's kind of awkward. Nevertheless, Frank Jackson from the mighty US of A with 75 to 94 potential. He's 16, another left footer, and his pace is probably the biggest selling point, plus his agility at an 81. No play styles to report on, which is a bit of a bummer. However, Trevor Wolf is the second homegrown talent here at 15. We have an abundance of left-footed stars. He's a bit more well-rounded, as the all-out center mid has the anticipate playstyle. The second Japanese baller on the list, Yuma Fujino. Another well-rounded CM, but his potential doesn't excite me. 60 to 70. Extremely mid, extremely bare bones considering he doesn't even have any playstyles. But he's another left-footed genius to add to this batch. And finally, something to start tingling the senses here. Say hello to a potential generational baller, Ramiro Barrios. 14 years old, 5'4". He has 74 to 94 potential, 4-star weak foot, 3-star skill moves, and already has 2 playstyles, chip shot and whipped pass. As a center attacker midfielder, it's possibly the next Dybala, the next Messi. I don't want to put too much hype and expectation on him, but he is one of the biggest and best promising stars from this batch. And I won't get too carried away, as Jorge Cardenas, the Colombian, is going to one-up him in this little South American battle. At 16, he's 5'8", a right footer, 3-star skill moves, 3-star weak foot, and has the rapid play style. So you already know he's going to be tearing up the wings no matter what side we put him on. 80 acceleration, 74 agility, 85 sprint speed. This man is going to be moving like the Flash out there. No matter where he ends up, 71 to 94 potential. It's elite, has potential to be special, just like this guy, Jared Allen. Another American starlet who now holds the record, 5-star skill moves and 4 playstyles in the locker. He can do it all. Finesse shot, pinged pass, trickster, trivella. At 5'1", I hope he has a little growth spurt later on down the track, as he's probably the spiciest footballing talent to come out of America. 71 sprint speed is his best attribute right now, but get him in the gym with that 48 strength. Hopefully the northeast of England can toughen him up, as we have an abundance of right-winger talent here. Arthur Samsurov. Is that Kazakhstan? No, the Uzbekistani talent has come through to one-up Allen here. His playstyle game is on another level. 5 playstyles. He's 16, 5'7", with the finesse shot, pinged pass, flare, trickster, and long throw trait. He's got a bit of that Rory Delap in him. 85 to 91 potential, with some of his best stats. 4 green attributes in the physical department, 80 sprint speed being his best. And now for our final 2 talents on the list, the 2 strikers. We have the 16-year-old Chinese goal-getter Chen Wang with a 57 to 65 potential, 16 years old, has the press-proven playstyle, and his attributes are kind of mid to low tier, 5'10". How does he compare to lucky last Marco Basile from San Marino? The 17-year-old is going to be the best talent the country's ever produced, as he's coming through with a 67 to 91 potential, 63 overall from the jump, and at 6'1" is the tallest player in this youth academy team with 4-star skill moves, the Trivella playstyle. What's with all these youngsters wanting to have that Trivella playstyle? It's just the new trend now in youth football, as 73 agility and 72 sprint speed are his standout attributes. 51 finishing might need some work as a striker, but there you have it. Say hello to Sunderland's critical youth academy. We've been treated nicely, filled up to the brim for us. We've got all of our development plans and position conversions set. Before we release them into the free agency, I just want to make sure they're on the right track, working on the right areas of their skill set. And now with the addition of player roles and role growth, I just want to give them that helping hand to make sure they're actually focusing on the right areas. Look, I wish I could send them off with like a youth academy tournament win, like a piece of silverware for them to celebrate before we send them off and dispatch them into the world. Just take a look at this possible youth academy team we could field. You don't even get to see the full potential of it because it's a 5v5. But stay tuned to the end, because they could make an absolute banger starting 11. We're going to give them to the end of the transfer window, the start of September. So it's going to be even harder for the talents to find new clubs. It's time, people. We've got to start promoting. We've got to give them that false hope and sell these academy talents the dream, promoting them to the senior team. I've lowered the minimum age for promotion down to 13, even though the lowest we have right now is 14. Anyone and everyone can get their ticket to the first team, no matter what age they are, no matter how good. Everyone is getting a taste of that promotion life. And now that we've got every single academy player on our first team roster, let the releasing begin. We're sending them out onto the cold streets. It's a tough life, it's a cruel game, but business is business, and it just must be done. It's a channel classic. You guys have been demanding it in the the comments below. I've been waiting for these Youth Academy changes to kick in, and now we could fully realize this concept in FC25. This talent list has the potential to go down as all-timers. We've got a ragtag group of ballers to track, and I can't wait to see what happens to them as our last fictional star gets let loose. Usually, I do include some real-life talents, so the likes of Joe Bellingham, Tom Watson, and Chris Rigg will all be joining them, because why not? Let's see how they compare to academy players to see if they can work their way back up and actually make it at the top level. Now take a look at all this free agent wonder kid talent that all the CPU teams can now snap up. There are some gems here on a free, and some that I'm sure are going to be major players in the world of football. Long-term investments that are literally risk-free. So let's start simulating and see what the market has in store for these wonder kids. Now, how has the free agency treated our released Youth Academy squad? Let's check in on them and see who has taken the punt, as we already have some success stories to write home about. Bradley Wright, the 6'8" shot-stopping English behemoth, has ended up in Belgium at Ghent. A decent place to start out your career as the South African centre-back Duma Goniwe. He's earned himself a £3.8 million release clause, so he could be on the move as he signed for the South American club Godoy Cruz. It looks like West Ham has taken the chance on Masato Goto, the Japanese right back, with a £1.6 million market value. I hope he gets loaned out or something, because there's no way he's getting game time in the Premier League. The same goes for William Hock Tookens, because I don't think he's going to find any space in the Wolfsburg first team 11. He's already turned 18, so he's a little bit on the older side of the Youth Academy talent pool. So I'm not ringing the alarm bells yet. I'm just, being cautious, being skeptical, as Frank Jackson has secured the deal and has moved to France with Montpellier. The American in Ligue 1 is going to need all the time and play time he can get, as it's another top flight French move. Yuma Fujino from the get-go doesn't really seem to have the highest ceiling possible, but Le Havre's decided to swoop in and take him up on a free, as it's Jorge Cardenas, someone who I do see making an impact at Ipswich Town. He probably has the highest chance of getting game time, not only in the Premier League, but if they get relegated, he should be tearing up the championship at Portman Road with his £2.6 million valuation. We're going to scroll down to Arta Samsurov. So many big deals happening here. Stuttgart have decided to sign the Uzbekistani talent. We will watch the Playstyle Merchant's career with great interest, as the final two deals, both of the strikers, Chen Wang is now playing for Cracovia over in Poland, and now San Marinese hitman Basile has been employed by relegation-threatened Bochum in the Bundesliga. As for our real-world stars, both Joe Bellingham and Chris Rigg have moved to Rome, albeit on different sides of the spectrum. The versatile and younger Bellingham has opted for Roma. Meanwhile, Rigg has decided for that Lazio move, and it could pay off in dividends. Who would have seen that coming? A Derby della Capitale with two Sunderland Academy stars, as Tom Watson decides to stay in England, stay in the same division with a move to Millwall. And that leaves us with only 6 Youth Academy talents out of 16 to still be free agents, and are still on the hunt for a brand new club come season 2. Now the second campaign's rolled around. Do we have any more free agents left on the list? And it looks like we do here still. Martin Bravo, Mahmoud El Basir, Barrios, and Jared Allen, all without a club, haven't played a game in 2 years. Even the 15-year-old Idris Hashini has found a club. It is WSG Tirol. I'm assuming it's an Austrian club. Meanwhile, the Englishman Trevor Wolf finds himself at Gymnasia, the Argentinian club who look like they have a cryptocurrency sponsor. Meanwhile, it looks like Ipswich Town are serious about their Colombian, because they have loaned him out to Espanyol. It doesn't specify how long the loan deal actually is, but it looks like he spent this season playing in Spain. Same deal with Artur Samsurov, our Uzbekistan right winger, who's been sent out on loan to Rangers over in Denmark. They've both hit 72 overall and are starting to rise to the top, both on the same level as the real life talent Chris Rigg, and as you'd predict, Joe Bellingham at the top of the pecking order, but we're not really counting him. We're more focusing on the generated Youth Academy talents. Anyways, Season 3's up next, and let's hope some of these free agent ballers can find a home. Now, Season 3, here in 2027, what have you got for us? There's always got to be a few. We've still got some free agents lurking on this list, and it's still your usual three suspects. The unemployed trio, the three musketeers, no matter what you want to call them. Jared Allen up to a 66, Barrios at a 67. They need to get some minutes and game time under their belt as Bradley Wright made his way back to England. Mikel Arteta has decided to find his next new goalkeeping number one. Bradley Wright is now a gooner, all 6'8" of him. I'm sure he's going to be a first team shot stopper. Martin Bravo has found his way to France like so many other of these academy talents have, playing for Amiens in the second tier. And we have another big move here. Masato Goto. He's the big club merchant. He hasn't wasted his time in any of the second and third divisions. He's a top tier player. The Japanese attacking wingback has transferred to Napoli, with Udinese involved in the transfer race as well. I wonder who else was interested in Wright. We had RB Leipzig also very keen on his services. Otherwise, another move we can report on here is William Hochturkens. He has made a lone move away, trying to get the reps up and game time under his belt with a move out to Denmark. AGF have pulled the trigger, and it's a return for Jorge Cardenas at Ipswich. They are now back up in the Premier League, so maybe he can shoot his load in the big time with 91 acceleration, 89 sprint speed, 85 agility. He is on course for a potential Young Player of the Year award, Ballon d'Or nomination. Samsurov has got something to say about that, managing to keep his spot at Stuttgart, and with 95 acceleration, 94 sprint speed, 93 agility. I think they've got every reason in the world to keep him on the books. 88 ball control too. They've got an absolute generational gem on their hands. Chen Wang, he's still bagging in goals over at Poland, and Marco Basile at Bochum has stayed loyal, just like Joe Bellingham at Roma in the capital. However, Chris Rigg has left the capital, joining the Scudetto champions Inter, moving up north to the San Siro, and he looks like the perfect fit for Inzaghi's outfit. There are still some major opportunities to be pounced on. How the AI managers are ignoring them, I'll never know, but I'm sure in Season 4, we're going to see even more twists and turns. I'm happy to announce now that almost half a decade into the simulation, we have every single talent on our watch list with a brand new club. Some have made multiple moves, but most notably now, we have the Moroccan Mazmoud El Basir. He's hit that Premier League hype, now the new number 7 for Bournemouth. He could be the next major talent to break out at the South Coast club, and could be a niche hidden star for the Cherries with all his play styles. Turns out William Hawkins, that loan deal was a loan to buy move, and he's made the permanent switch to Denmark. Meanwhile, Barcelona have taken the punt on Frank Jackson, the American. The last time they did that was back with Serginho Dest, but Lazio were also involved in the race as he decided to choose Spain over Italy. Let's see if that move pays out for the left mid, as Trevor Wolf has now joined Freiburg, which makes sense considering they are one of the clubs with a critical youth development standard. So hopefully they nurture him properly, but I don't think Yuma Fujino at La Harve is, experiencing that same fate. Looks like he's desperate for a move. Ramiro Barrios has finally found a new club after 3 years. Frankfurt have been put on to the 5-star week footballer, the Argentine who is just ready to explode on the biggest of stages. And honestly, they're thinking with that 5,000 IQ. They know their recruitment recently in real life has been second to none, and there is no doubts they will reap the rewards of that recruitment, as Jorge Cardenas has made the switch from Ipswich. They sold off their Colombian starlet to the old lady. Juventus have won the bidding war over Atalanta. Surely that would have made a splash on the charts. I mean, adjusted for inflation, we might have to scroll down a fair bit. What are the numbers, Mason? I want specific details. Wow, what a bargain. They only had to pay out £15.4 million. They've gotten themselves a showing great potential starlet who could possibly enter that world-class territory. Another club who's dependent on their youth development sector. It's Stade Rennais in Ligue 1, and they've won out the battle to sign up Jared Allen on a free. And trust me, they won't regret it, as Samsurov has decided to stay loyal to Stuttgart. Chen Wang, the Chinese striker, has been on the move, this time switching to Utrecht over in the Eredivisie. And another combo who have decided one half to stay loyal and then the other to move clubs again. It's Chris Rigg and Joe Bellingham, who's decided to be a stalwart at the Stadio Olimpico. And then Chris Rigg, no, he's actually on loan. Inter decided to give him, I don't think he's quite ready for the Inter first team football yet, as Tom Watson, the recently promoted AFS, where he could really get his career going, as that is our current list right now. Just a reminder, it's still early days, it's still early doors. It's cool and actually quite refreshing to see that the big boys boys like Barca are giving their new boys like Frank Jackson a go, assumedly in off the bench with 23 appearances, still yet to find a goal or an assist, but at least he's actually getting minutes on the pitch. Unlike Cardenas, who, even though he's better than some of the competition he's facing on the right mid spot, considering, Juventus don't really play with a right mid in their formation, the old lady is filled to the brim of winger talent that he needs to beat out in order to get any chances at the Allianz Arena. I know we can't really hold the same standard for the real world talents versus the academy generated ballers, but I thought that Joe Bellingham would start to raise the bar and lead by example, but here at Roma, he's getting out flooded by the midfielder depth on the roster. Season 5 has hit, the half a decade point has spawned upon us, and I think we've got even more transfer drama to cover here with Bradley Wright making the switch to Inter. He put in a transfer request at Arsenal. He didn't want to be the second tier, third string backup goalie. However, moving to Inter, I don't know. I don't think he's going to be starting, but Roma were also interested in the English shot stopper. At 6'8", he's got the ability. It's just a matter of time now as Martin Bravo, the Uruguayan left back, not really progressing too much in his career, but still only 21, has moved to Almeria. Goniwe has joined Joe Bellingham at Roma as the South African moves to the Italian capital. That could be a career-defining move for him. You never know. He could start to blossom like Masato Gotto at Napoli. Idris Sashini has made a first big move of his career, moving to HSV Hamburg in the Bundesliga 2. A perfect place for him to grow and develop as the CDM pairing this Moroccan duo. I think we have their national team spine for the next decade sorted. Hock Turkins has switched Wolfsburg for Italy, and Roma, again, they just love interjecting in this video. It's all about them as the Serie A giants beat out Torino in the battle. It could be a stunning coup for Claudio Ranieri as Frank Jackson is still trying to make it big at the Camp Nou. Yoma Fujino has been traded out permanently. He stays in France though because RC Lens has secured the deal. Athletic Bilbao tried to break their transfer policy, but it just wasn't happening. Another loan to buy situation here with Chris Rigg, this time making the move permanent to Union Berlin. The Englishman wanting out of Inter. He didn't want to reunite with Bradley Wright. Basile stayed loyal to Bochum, and most notably, both Marco Basile, the San Marino, best San Marino player of all time, might I add, and Arto Samsurov have stayed loyal. It's just bothering me. It's just giving me the ick because they don't actually play with a right winger. They never play him. He's not going to get game time in this two camps, two center defensive mid formation. Just sell him off, man. Let the boy free. A situation where I am rooting for it to be a match made in heaven is Barrios at Frankfurt, considering they don't play a formation which involve a cam. I have my doubts because he is rotting away in the reserves. And at 19, that could prove detrimental to the growth of his career later down the track, and it doesn't bode well for the future. It's heartbreaking, man. You hate to see it because in every single one of these we've done, we've experienced the same problem. Look how many strikers. 12 strikers, bro. Why does Stuttgart feel the need to stockpile on strikers? But take a look at this 82 rated right winger, 5'7", ready to explode, and he's only had 3 appearances off the bench because the CPU transfer logic AI are too dumb enough to realize that they don't actually play with right wingers, or that they can't convert a player to be another position. My guy doesn't even make the bench, bro. You hate to see it. He's down here again, like another former Sunderland talent rotting in the reserves. Not all hope is lost though. We did have Frank Jackson, the American, strutting his stuff in Catalonia last season, but with a sporadic first team role, an exciting prospect tagline, he hasn't been given any room to shine and showcase his talent. You gotta do what you gotta do, brother. Just put yourself on the transfer list. Now in our 6th campaign, you're starting to see the disparity between some of our top talents and some of the lower tier talents that are just, you know, bubbling under the surface, having a bit of a slower start to their career than some of their peers. But like every other season, we've got some transfer news to report on, like Mahmoud El Basir moving to West Ham. They just love picking up on these academy talents, as Benfica were also in the hunt. I think they would have probably suited the CDM better. Nevertheless, Trevor Wolf has made the loan spell out to this Austrian club again. WSG Tirol are double dipping. Scrolling up further into this 80 territory where we have Ramiro Barrios just on the cusp, about to enter the 80s, and Chris Rigg has actually moved back to Inter. Maybe it was a 2-year loan. Maybe I read into it too much, but okay, he's now back in Italy. He's just jumping between Milano and Berlin like it's no one's business as Jorge Cardenas. Another loan spell for the Colombian, Juve actually recognizing the wrongs in their ways and giving him some more game time, albeit it might be in the Spanish second vacancy. I'm hoping it's in La Liga, as Samsurov is the highest rated talent out of this batch, climbing his way to the top without playing any games. I don't know if that really counts, but he must be doing the work. He must be putting in the reps in training, as he's overtaken the real world talent Chris Rigg. Something I also have noticed is that none of them have grown beards or any sign of facial hair. I think Jared Allen was like 5'1" or something. He's grown up to 5'7", and this is like 6 years later, so you'd think that they'd have a little growth spurt. Nothing noticeable though. Like Cardenas is still like 5'8". He hasn't cracked into the 6 foot territory. Neither has Arthur Samsurov. Neither has the Uzbekistanian. Bradley Wright has stayed at 6'8", and they all look freshly shaven, clean shaven. Maybe that update only applies to your actual youth academy. Like if we kept them all at Sunderland, that's when the facial changes and the physical appearance starts changing. But once you sell them on to CPU clubs, they don't get any of those benefits whatsoever. They just change in terms of height growth, but nothing to do with facial hair or growing older. I might have to wait and, you know, maybe sim 10 seasons and then they'd start to look like they grow facial hair. But from what I'm seeing, the results aren't really adding up. Like these two guys are 4'11". I want to check in on everyone that's 80 rated or higher, including Frank Jackson, who was a bright star for the US and now at Barcelona hasn't received any game time whatsoever. Again, when you're competing with the likes of Garnacho, and it's not even that, I think they're just so attacking heavy. Like, yeah, competing with Rafinha, Yamal, of course, who can play on either side. Now, I've had enough with this team. It's starting to get on my nerves now. You know what? After all this disrespect, the way you've treated our boy, I feel like it's only right that we just send him out. We just release him as a free agent again. Because, come on, look what you're doing to the guy. You accidentally put him on for one game and he scores a goal. Meanwhile, your 12 strikers are barely doing anything for you. You don't deserve him, Stuttgart. You don't deserve him. We've seen it with our very eyes. The system, it clearly isn't fair. We've seen it happen to real wonder kids, fake academy wonder kids. But sometimes you can't even make it make sense, because how is Goniwe starting over all these higher rated centre backs? That's right, 42 appearances for a 70 rated sporadic first team centre back. Roma operate in mysterious ways, as we now have 3 of the stars we're tracking at this club. Sunderland's homegrown winger, William Hawkins, couldn't find any space, but at least this time his colleague Job has been rising up the ranks with 3 goals and 1 assist in 42 appearances. Now we're talking, lads. Now what year are we in here? I'm starting to lose track. We are in 2031. Just to paint the picture, because it turns out it has been a lucky season 7 for some, because we're starting to see those golden playstyle pluses emerge for the likes of Jared Allen at Stade Rennais. They haven't sold him off for big bucks yet, and it has proven to be the best decision they've ever made, because at Finesse Shot Plus, he's going to be scoring outside the box curlers for fun. I'm kind of confused where Jorge Cardenas is right now. Is he at Real Valladolid? Is he at Juve? But the one thing I do know is that rapid playstyle has turned gold, and now it's Rapid Plus. He's going to be impossible to track down, and something that is going to be impossible to intercept is a pass from Ramiro Barrios, because he has that whipped pass plus, and the Argentine is now starting to come into his own, and that Argentinian playmaking creative ability is starting to come into fruition. I'm going to be really angry if Frankfurt haven't played him this season, as the same goes with Job. Not only are the academy players, but the real world players are starting to develop those playstyle plus, trying to outgrow Jude and, you know, get out of his brother's shadow. He's got the technical playstyle plus on him, and the only big major transfer news of season 7 was Artur Samsurov. We went in there at Stuttgart, we just took the shackles off, we freed him from jail, and now at Stamford Bridge, I think he's got that Eden Hazard type energy about him. He could be a cult hero for the Blues, and better yet, with that flair playstyle plus, I'm sure he's going to be putting on shows, him and Cold Palmer on the park. It's going to be nothing short of entertainment for the winger plus. Trevor Wolf has joined Marseille. He's been a little bit of a journeyman around France. Same goes for Chen Wang, who's just trying to find out his place and try and see where he sticks. The Chinese striker just been thrown out continuously. The player turnover has been hectic. This is the duality of these type of videos. You've got a 66 rated, just normal, run-of-the-mill left back at the bottom of the list, and then at the top, you've got a Premier League superstar ready to explode, and potentially, who knows, maybe going to win the Ballon d'Or. Oh no, don't get too excited, lads. I let one piece of crucial information slip, and that's that they don't play with a right winger. It's just right mid and left mid. Samsurov is the best player in that position, best player in the department, because he has that little yellow exclamation mark. That's enough for the CPU to go, nah, Harley Vale or, you know, a 36-year-old Nabry. They're way more suitable options for this formation, which truly isn't really the case. You know what? We're taking matters into our own hands now. I'm sick and tired of the CPU ruining this video. Okay, now we're in business. The Uzbekistani is ready to take over the Premier League because based on his output alone, he struggled to adapt to the big time. And he had the hallmarks of being a Chelsea flop, but he's got the number 10 for crying out loud. Let's put some respect on the boy's name. I honestly can't believe we're in a similar situation here with Stade Rennais, as Cameron Archer, a striker, is benching the left winger Allen, perfect for the job, perfect for the role. He's almost in the perfect environment not to fail. A team that actually uses wingers, it's just they're playing players out of position. Like this career mode AI, the logic, not even the transfer logic, just their fielding, positioning logic has never been worse. It's hit rock bottom. They've even got two better goalkeepers than their current number one, but they just don't even bother playing them. And as a result, surprise, surprise, yeah, 0 bench time, not even getting any minutes off the bench. Like, come on. No left wingers even playing. It's like they're allergic to fielding a left winger. I'm just flabbergasted. I'm ultimately just bamboozled because why do I have to go in and, you know, edit their tactics, make sure they're playing the right formations? One, they should be smart enough to do that themselves or even just convert players into different positions. But no, they're too dumbed down and the CPU AI managers haven't been changed for years. But two, like if one of my players was benched for the entire year and they were actually decent and had a bit of self-respect about themselves, you automatically know that they're submitting a transfer request. But for some reason, the CPU managers can get away with benching a potential to be special type prospect, not letting them play for years upon years, and then they just never submit a transfer request. No team puts a bid in. They refuse to sell them. And point proven. Point in case, right here, you're letting a generational baller just rot in the reserves because you don't play a cam position. This has got to be another release situation. I got to let him go. I got to let him free. Free my boy Barrios because he could be doing so much more. Yet he's being held back by the career mode algorithm, the career mode code. So we're letting him free again, and hopefully he can find a better team. Even the comments know that they've let an exceptional display of talent go, and that people will be talking about this decision for years. It says a lot when the comments are starting to spit some facts. It's a similar situation at Barca, I'm assuming, as our boy Jackson. Is he ever going to be benching Rafinha or Yamal? It's wishful thinking, honestly. We might have to intervene here for the sake of this video, for the sake of his career. Sporadic first team players just let his pivotal years go. Being benched by Garnacho, not being able to showcase his talents whatsoever, and they gave him a new deal. So he signed a new contract after barely playing. He's been relegated to a sporadic team player, and that's just not how he's going to take it. For the betterment of his career, we have to just cut all ties. We can't be doing this every year. Honestly, I don't really want to go in and be editing every single situation. I want a little bit of authenticity and just RNG, randomness to happen throughout the long-term situation to actually see how their careers pan out. But if the game is actively working against them, I've got to step in and actually do something. The simulation may lose a little bit of its credibility, a little bit of its authenticity, but I think it's for the betterment of the video and for their careers. Alright, Season 8, let's go straight to it. Let's get to the bottom of this. We have poor old Martin Bravo, still in the 60s. Pretty much everyone is a 70 rated or higher. But in life, there's always got to be winners, there's always got to be losers. Not that these guys are losers or anything, but you know, some players are going to have a better career than others. It is what it is at the end of the day, and it looks like Chen Wang and El Basir are starting to get their careers back on track. Goto is really pledging his loyalty to Napoli. Things are working there for him in the south of Italy. And William Hawkins, I doubt the situation has changed, but he stayed loyal. And that random Sunderland talent that I'd never heard of, Tom Watson, has actually overtaken him. Similar to Marcus Edwards, he's really carving his own path over there in Portugal. The San Marinese striker Basile is so close to breaking into that 80s territory, as Bradley Wright continues to be a second-tier shot stopper at Inter. We have Frank Jackson with a big money transfer move to Liverpool. Actually, no, we released him, so we moved there on a free, but both LeBron and FSG have decided to invest in the American. So I hope it works out for them, low-key, as both Chris Rigg and Bellingham still pulling up strong, but now the actual fictional academy boys, 4 academy starlets, 4 youth starlets have overtaken them, with Ramiro Barrios finding another club, staying in Germany, staying in the Bundesliga. Augsburg, don't let me down, you better be playing with a cam. Otherwise, we might have some issues. We might have a problem. Meanwhile, Jorge Cardenas, he's growing a little bit of facial hairs. Has he copied the BCHD? Little mustache and stubble going on. I also decided to convert him into a right winger, so he actually might have a chance of getting more game time. Not quite sure how that's going to play out at Juve, but it seems like he's starting to age and mature. Uzbekistani unable to crack into the Premier League team of the season. It's not filling me with hope. However, he is a first team regular playing at that right mid spot week in, week out. out. And we have the numbers. We've got the production to prove it, hitting double figures in both departments, 11 goals and 10 assists, albeit in 58 appearances in all competitions. He could have upped those numbers, that's all I'm saying, but it's a decent start. At least he's getting that game time and proving himself in the best league in the world. Still has his best years ahead of him, which is quite scary. With an £84 million market value, the cream is now starting to rise to the top. The facts are facts. It looks like it's the same old story for Ramiro Barrios at Augsburg, as again, they don't really play with a cam. I mean, they do, but they're just not playing him in the first team. He just hasn't been in the starting 11 whatsoever. That reflected in the end of the season stats, and of course it is. Of course it is. Why would anything else be different? Yep, 0 appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists. Look, Brother, what do we do? I think I'm going to release him. Gotta release him, you know. I can't trust these German clubs. Get him out of here. It's starting to become counterproductive here. I'm not preying on their downfall whatsoever, but it's just getting out of hand at this rate. And we have our boy Allen. We did manage to fix up the situation at Stade Rennais, and they've actually given him the captain's armband. That's how much they value him here. Usually they'd sell off a big player like that. Look at Ousmane Dembele in the past, but they have held on to him. Was he able to pay them back with goals and assists in abundance? And yes, he was. 21 goals and 5 assists. We had to fiddle around with things. We had to adjust the tactics. We had to actually put him in the starting 11 in order to see some change. 26 goal contributions in 45 appearances. I consider that an absolute win for the American. Still, at only 22 years of age, he's got his best years and prime ahead of him. That right there is a career-defining campaign. It feels nice when we finally get to report on some good news, but I can't really stay on that high too long, knowing what the CPU AI and these managers are capable of. So we're venturing to Liverpool to track their new American starlet. How has Frank Jackson adjusted to life on Merseyside with stats? Okay, 19 appearances. At least he's getting game time. I mean, he's probably being a super sub in off the bench, but the numbers don't really convince me. Kind of reminding me of his first season at Barcelona. Yeah, we're going to have to convert him into a just out and out left winger. It's for the optics. It's purely strategic. Someone's got to take over that spot and compete with Desiree Doué, as a 35-year-old Luis Diaz won't be getting minutes at Anfield for much longer. This right here proves my theory correct. If you have a youth academy player on your team and you don't sell him off, he will start developing some beard and facial hair type features, because this guy, Alessandro Moraes, I assume he's a product from Liverpool's academy. Even if he's a regen, I guess it shows that these academy players can now age, given he is 26, so it might start happening to a bunch of these released talents very, very soon. Now, we've hit Season 9 2033 at the business end of our little releasing scheme, and boy oh boy, the drama has spiced up quite a bit. Let's just showcase some of the top transfers of this past summer/January window, and you can see one of the OGs, Chris Rigg, Sunderland's own, staying most of his career outside of the UK, and he has done the dirty. I mean, if you remember, one of the first clubs he moved to was Lazio, and now Roma came through with an £86.3 million bid for the 25-year-old, approaching his prime, 86 overall. He's a midfield marvel, and Inter let him go. I just thought that was a very interesting move, and now it's starting to make sense, because the Roma got the cash from this Joe Bellingham sale. They got rid of the boy, and he's returned to England, this time with Southampton, 87 overall, 27 in his prime, and they bagged him for 71.5 mil. As Man City were able to beat out the competition and snag Ramiro Barrios, who is now equal joint best generational talent on our roster. Climbed up the shortlist without even playing a single game of football. How mad is that? You end up at Man City without even setting foot on the pitch. No one has ever seen this man play before. We just know he's highly rated, with 97 dribbling, 97 long pass, 98 agility, play style plus. This could either be really, really good or really, really bad, as he isn't in their starting 11, but at least the citizens play with a cam. Jackson is still chugging away at Liverpool for his second campaign. A lot of these talents have actually made their way back to the Premier League, as Trevor Wolf has hit the 80 overall mark at Marseille. So, you know, small steps. We got to celebrate and acknowledge the small wins, like Marco Basile reaching the 80s overall, staying at Bochum for pretty much the entirety of his career. Gotto is going to go down as a Napoli cult hero. And how has Hashini been washed already? Shipped off to Saudi at 22. Oh, brother, we need to get you back on the plane to Europe, mate. This is not how this was meant to go. But again, this bottom of the barrel, we have two different sides of the equation. Not everything is going to be sunshine and roses in football. Careers are going to fail. Players aren't going to live up to the expectations. That's just the reality. Now, I'm not expecting any generational numbers here. I've got no idea when Pablo joined. Pablo? Is that even his name? It's not Pablo, is it? I'm going to let Pep cook just for the one time, but I'm not expecting any generational numbers here. I've got no idea when Barrios actually joined. However, he ranks 4th on the Man City totem pole and has a fair bit of competition here with Oyhan Sunset Rodrigo Mora. Can't believe I'm saying this, but at the Etihad is where he's made his debut in his career. 23 years of age, 17 appearances, no goals, no assists, most likely coming in off the bench. But, you know, you got to give the lad time. He has been spending, 9 years on the sidelines, somehow accruing an £122.5 million price tag. I've got a feeling he's about to explode onto the scene. With some world-class attributes like this, he should be thriving in this Man City system. And for good measure, I'm going to make sure he actually starts. Oh, why don't they play a cam all of a sudden? Okay, I'm just going to make sure he starts in the center attacking midfield spot nonetheless. And bam, Sunset out, Barrios in. Premier League defenses better be ready. Meanwhile, over at Chelsea, we've had some sort of not only win the Premier League, but also feature in the team of the season. He's finally getting his flowers and the recognition he deserves. Chelsea have cut down significantly on their modern day bloated size roster with only 25 players. So you know he must be good to a certain extent if Chelsea kept a hold of him, as the 25-year-old has a crucial first team role. He's about to enter his prime and manage 16 goals and 6 assists in 60 appearances. This guy just does not get injured, but compared to his other winger counterpart who is on the other end and is significantly lower rated at an 82, he outperformed him tenfold. Hidalgo with 47 goal contributions, mate. Come on, pump those numbers up. His production numbers aren't the best, but it's good enough for him to be classified one of the best wingers in the league. Over in Italy, Cardenas has lost the league out by 1 point to AC Milan and is getting outscored by Nicholas Jackson, so something's up. The numbers don't lie, lads. The numbers never lie. So what are we saying here? 19 goals and 24 goal contributions in 43 appearances. Kind of same run-of-the-mill numbers. I mean, it's not run-of-the-mill, but for a winger, 86 rated, you'd expect a little bit more. Still a decent campaign, outscoring an 88 rated Antonio Nusa. Still yet to hit his prime, so we'll give him a pass. And now that he's been upgraded to that crucial first team role, he'll be starting week in, week out. No questions asked. Man, you think Stade Rennais would be paying Jared Allen tax-free wages? The amount of loyalty he's shown to this club, gifting him the captain's armband, they're probably going to build him a statue outside the grounds. But just imagine this kind of player in a better team. No disrespect to Stade Rennais, but they finished 12th in Ligue 1. With this kind of squad, they should be challenging for Europe at least. Nevertheless, he leads by example here in France, although getting outscored by their Croatian hitman Kovacevic. But the American's also worth his weight in gold because it can do it both. Double figures in both departments, 26 goal contributions in 37 appearances is very respectable numbers, especially considering this team is in £87.5 million price tag and he is currently the best player on the roster. Still 3 years left on his contract and no release clause, so I don't see him moving anytime soon. Roma have held the record in this video, signing 3 of our released academy stars, Hock Torkins, Rig and Ganiwe, albeit a combination of fictional and real, but this is how they fit into this Roma starting 11. At least Sunderland's homegrown star Hawkins is getting some game time at least. 49 appearances, only 5 goals and 1 assist to boast about, but it's better than bench warming. Chris Rigg, on the other hand, coming in off the bench, 2 goals and 1 in 20 appearances, and Ganiwe, he's had 1 goal and 1. Like, he's performing alright considering his overall, and considering his career hasn't really budged from that 71 rating. He's just plateaued and stayed the same, but Roma just love him for some reason. The South African is kind of becoming part of the furniture, cult hero, even though he refuses to grow and develop. Meanwhile, crosstown rivals Lazio end up winning the Champions League on penalties when they sold some of our released Wonder Kid stars, so I'll let you guys do with that information what you will. So after all these years, has this Jordan Pickford regen finally become the number 1 at the San Siro? And yes, he has. I truly underestimated his powers, this kid. Alright, Righty is now the number 1 main shot stopper with 10 clean sheets in the Golden Glove race. He's a stalwart here for the blue and black side of the city, and with 44 appearances, he stuck with it, and now he's finally getting that first team game time. You just feel like a proud father pleasure watching you released academy kids grow to the superstars they deserve to be. Bochum and Basile are an interesting case. They've just been chugging away along in the background, doing their thing, staying in the Bundesliga, not really harming anybody, but the San Marino striker talent is doing his nation proud. He kind of picked one spot and just stuck with it as the San Marino striker and Italian up front. A deadly duo, if I do say so myself. Unfortunately, Basile can't grow facial hair, but their superstar youth academy talent can. But it doesn't matter because the performances on the pitch, 11 goals, 2 assists. It's stock standard stuff for a mid-table relegation threatened side. If he moved to a top 6 club, he'd probably double his numbers just because he's in a better squad, but he's doing what he can. Just guaranteed to get you double digits in a campaign. Sometimes that's all you ever want. It's all you ever need. We've hit season 10 and we're so far down the rabbit hole. 2034. Just when you think things couldn't get any crazier, Wolves have gone all out. Not only for Kylian Mbappe for over £100 million, but they've also bought in on Frank Jackson, one of the OG Sunderland Academy stars we released, making that big summer move to Wolves as Liverpool sold him off for £80.4 million. But that's not all, because over in Italy, Jorge Cardenas had enough of Juventus and he wanted out, joining Atletico Madrid for £74.2 million as he tries to take on life in Spain. However, that is a move happening next season. So he did still play out campaign number 10 for the Bianconeri. And just when we thought Wright had that goalkeeper spot locked down at Inter, no, wasn't good enough. 10 clean sheets was rookie numbers apparently, as Fiorentina came in £40 million under his transfer market value, and Inter let the 6'8" Englishman walk out the door. We have a couple of other minor milestones to celebrate, like Mahmoud El Basir finally hitting that 80s rank at 25. Hock Torkins also moving up in the world, hitting that 80 in his prime now, as the Wangster Chen Wang is moving up too, hit that 80 spot and has found a comfortable home at Stade Rennais. Goto not there yet, but the Japanese right back has been a key piece to the puzzle over in Naples. And isn't it crazy how the player who's probably played the least out of the entire batch collectively has not only made it to the Man City level, but has become one of the best players on the roster. The only player to hit that 90s overall and surpass it with a 91 rating. No 99 maxed out stats though, but 98 acceleration goes hard. Pep's got himself an Argentinian quick Kevin De Bruyne, as Jared Allen again has stayed true to Stade Rennais. Frank Jackson has been boosted up to an 86. Maybe that Wolves move has done a whole lot of good for him, as Basile is just chugging along again, being that trademark and typical Bundesliga striker. But let's check in on them all for one last time. RB10 is that guy at Man City. He's running the show. Well, you'd think so anyway, being second in kin to Erling Haaland, or second best rated on the team list. Crucial first team role, one of the world's best. He'd be up there in the Ballon d'Or rankings and nominees, but I believe he's only coming in off the bench. 5 goals and 7 is very disappointing. Those are not the numbers you want to be seeing whatsoever, especially with a player of his caliber. But this is probably like the first full season he's ever played. They haven't really got the best out of him in this system. He doesn't fit the system whatsoever. 12 goal contributions, arriving off the bench as the super sub. You got to give him some credit. But £152.5 million price tag for a player that's had maybe 3 seasons at the top actually playing. You gotta wonder, what's the agenda against this guy? Well, why aren't they playing him? Chelsea, what have you got for me? Some sort of, have you had your career best season? Let's take a look. No, he's still getting outdone by Angel Hidalgo, a random Colombian spawned regen who's grown a bit of stubble. He's gone from a boy to a man, but Arthur has actually come through with 15 goals and 11, double figures in both departments again. He's just stayed consistent, I guess. He hasn't really exploded as we were foreseeing. However, he's just gotten those consistent professional numbers, 26 goal contributions in 56 appearances. For a Chelsea side on paper who seem to be struggling and can't really get the best out of their better players, an 83 rated winger is carrying this club on his back. Yet to hit that 9-figure price tag, and he's only got 1 year left on his deal, so his future could be well and truly up in the air. I'm not led to believe that Jackson has adapted to life here in Wolverhampton, because he's not on the first team sheet. He's in the reserves, getting benched by an 82 rated Rafael, and they're not playing in a formation with his favored position, so that's red flag number 1. So let's confirm my suspicions here. He's actually joined an extremely packed Wolves side. This squad is overly, I don't know how they managed to get all this money, but they've managed to spend it on some decent talent. all those world-class players, and they finished in 11th. Nevertheless, important first-team player Frank the Tank, the American, 38 goals, 38 appearances, 12 goals and 5 assists. Isn't too shabby. Okay, I was expecting way less, but he's actually played. He's actually getting game time. Sorry, Wolves manager AI, for doubting you. Second best performer, 17 goal contributions and 38 assists. You know, take it or leave it. That is probably his greatest ever campaign. Is a brilliant way to start off his Wolves career. What's Joe Bellingham cooking up here on the South Coast? Has he become a world-class baller at Southampton? He's got that crucial first-team player role, but he's unhappy with his player performance, and I don't doubt him, because 40 appearances, 5 goals and 3 assists, I guess it's okay, but he's in his prime. You'd think he'd be reaching those elite level numbers, but in a team like Southampton, where he's the best player out of the bunch, the bar needs to be set higher. This production is subpar. We're back to this again, Stade Rennais. Really? Is this what we've come to? After all this, you've done Jared Allen dirty. Unless he had a career-ending injury or a long-term injury or an ACL injury who ruled him out for the whole campaign, why was an 84 rated Sawyer and Salah, the fake Salah, getting more game time than your star left winger? But like, why? Why was he benched the entire season as a crucial first team player? That's transfer request levels of done dirty. Like, come on. This is a joke now. He's hit that 100 mil price tag, but the 24-year-old needs to get out ASAP. And the season he doesn't play, they get dragged up into 4th. They qualify for Champions League without him. Go figure. Cardenas managed to clinch a domestic double before he heads on the way out of Juve. A cute little trophy haul there as they finish outside the top 4. And in his send-off season, okay, he's getting outperformed by Antonio Nusa now. I think it's over. 11 goals and 4 for the Colombian in 45 appearances. Not really setting the world alight here when Kefren Thuram, a center defensive mid, is your top goal scorer, and Nicholas Jackson is leading the line up top. I think it's time to go. Maybe Atletico Madrid can unlock his true potential and get the best performances out of him. Yeah, you can't ride it, guys. He moved to Fiorentina, this 6'8" giant. They spent all that money on him just for him not to play a single game and get benched by an 82 rated German. Need I say more? Like how are you happy with your game time? How is player time at a thumbs up, yet you were getting no game time? In any other save, this would be a player submitting a transfer request, but the CPU AI can get away with whatever they want to. And the Roma situation is what we've come to expect with this club. It's Chris Riggs soaking up all the minutes, as he should, with 58 appearances, 1 goal and 4 assists for his troubles, but Ganiwe just, you know, having that little cameo here and there, and Hawkins getting benched by players that are clearly better than him. They've upgraded and spent money in the right positions. I think it's fair to say that we can crown this guy the king of Bochum, the king of San Marino, Marco Basile, who's just stuck to what he does best, getting you double figures in goals every single season, 18 goal contributions for the 6'1" target forward, and he just bangs them in. He does his job. He's a no-nonsense striker that doesn't need to be told twice, but unfortunately his goals couldn't save them from relegation, as he ends out on a little bit of a bittersweet note. They're going back down, finishing rock bottom. So we've reunited the released talents here from season 1, collecting them all under one roof, and we've brought them all to Manchester City just because, you know, Barrios was already here. He was already starting to grab a foothold, and I thought, why not bring them along? Because Man City, they're competing in the Champions League pretty much every competition. The expectations to perform will be lofty high, and this is how we've currently got them setting up with a wing play style tactic. In this system, I've made sure all the coaches are perfect. We've tried to fill out every department as much as possible so that they're in the prime conditions. They're in the perfect environment to succeed here. This is how they are lining up, with Basile leading the line up front, with Jared Allen and Samsurov on either side of him. That is a deadly front trio. Barrios, the classic 10 right behind them, the best player in the team. Rig and Wolf actually in the midfield control room. I wanted there to be a balance of real and fictional player. We've got El Basir back at centre back, Goto and Bravo at wing back spots, and then Righty in the middle of the sticks. And then Righty will cap off the team in the middle of the sticks. Still got some leftovers and remnants of the old Man City squad, but mostly it's our academy players that are running the show. So let's see if the Sunderland youth stars can go out with a bang. The only player that we couldn't bring along for the ride was Hock Tuikens, because he was sent out on loan to Real Valladolid. So Roma, that's on you. Can't do anything about that. that, and I doubt he would have really made a big impact anyway. Now, the team of the season never really lies, so let's check in on it, and it's already a good sign because we've got 2 of our players involved. 1 real youth academy talent and 1 fictional star. Joe Bellingham at midfield and Gotto, a surprise involvement at right back, as it was lost as the Premier League title lost on the final day to Spurs. We released Haaland, he ended up in North London. I think that's what won it for them, the Norwegian up top, getting the better with that 2-point gap, but it's only 72 points, so like to win the league, you don't really need that many points. This far into career mode, 11 years down the track, as it was Chelsea to win the FA Cup. Our lads were eliminated. Oh my god, that was a revenge story. Sunderland came through to eliminate them in round 6. Future present day Sunderland knocking out their former academy talents. The script is scripting right now, as okay, they did end up taking home the Carabao Cup in a Manchester derby, which makes it even sweeter. So I guess they had the last laugh, but in the Champions League final, it's Chelsea and Liverpool in the big dance, and it was elimination in the semi-finals, 4-2 in aggregate against the Blues, where they just completely capitulated at home. They could have had a Champions League final berth where they finished equal on points, 19 points each in the league phase, and Villarreal on top, undefeated, but oh man, so close, but yet so far. Only 1 piece of silverware to write home about for the released academy talents, but how did they perform as a collective, as a whole? We've got Bradley Wright, 62 appearances, 15 clean sheets in all competitions, and our top goal scorer was Jared Allen, who he trained into an inside forward, and that did wonders for him. 21 goals and 4 assists in 38 appearances. An unsung hero, 25 goal contributions. Ken Wang, similar status to him, just a player who probably could have performed well if he was in a good team, but he's entering his prime, Chinese striker, with 7 goals and 2. Frank Jackson filling in, I assume they swapped over on that left-hand flank, 16 goals and 2 for the American off the bench. Bellingham with the team of the season performances, 88 rated, 15 goals and 9 from the middle of the park, and it's Arto Samsurov, the captain, with 10 goals and 13, double figures in both departments, and the only player on the roster to do so. Marco Basile, you know what you're going to get with him. Death, taxes, and double-digit goals every single campaign, 10 goals and 7, and Gotto had a team of the season campaign, 4 goals and 2 in the Premier League, 6 and 2 in total. The attacking Japanese wingback is just, you know, he's solid. Consistency is key in football, especially. 4 goals and 10 for Chris Rigg in the middle of the park, and Mahmoud El Basir with 2 goals from centre-back / CDM, and okay, Ramiro Barrios, he's got to be the disappointment of the video, man. I had such high hopes for him, but even in a team where he's playing week in, week out, he is the starter. He just doesn't perform. He doesn't put up the numbers. He's not that Bruno Fernandes, Kevin De Bruyne type, that classic number 10. He just hasn't lived up to the hype. I mean, his ratings there, the attributes and talent, it's well and truly on display on paper, but you know, in real life, when it comes to performing, he's not a big game player whatsoever. He probably can't even do it on a wet, rainy night at Stoke. As Cardenas barely got a sniff, we haven't really seen the best out of the Colombian so far, as he's hit his peak at 27. These are supposed to be the glory years, the golden age of their careers, but nothing has just really happened for a few of them. But for me, the biggest letdown has got to be the Argentine, failing on every metric. And it's just, look, I'm not sad, I'm just disappointed. Here's a final look at all of their transfer market valuations. Some of them did rack up a couple of big money moves away and decided to be journeymen. So there you have it. I'm a man of the people. All your lads demanding this series back on the channel. You've got what you asked for. Let me know if you want to see it again. What clubs should I do it with next time? And how else can I improve the series? What other youth academy career mode concepts and videos would you like to see? Let me know down below. And if you've made it this far, make sure to drop a like on the video. Subscribe to the BCHD channel so you never miss out on any more videos coming your way. Who was your favorite one of these players? Who was the talent you were rooting for the entire video? Get involved, comment your thoughts. But as always, I've been your boy Sir BCHD. Have a great day, and I'll catch you lot on the very next video. Bye bye.